Very good evening, everyone. I'm thrilled to welcome you to yet another engaging discussion of Tech Excellence Digital Sessions, where we dive into the transformative power of technology and its impact on industries. As a part of our ongoing series, today's discussion is centered around the theme of digital natives and tech driven growth. We will explore how cloud AI and other emerging technologies are shaping the future of digital first businesses from fintech to e commerce, media, and beyond. Our esteemed panelists will share their insights and latest trends from AI, cloud technologies, big data, to various other digital disruptions and customer engagement strategies. Today's panel will focus on understanding the tech preferences, expectations of both new age enterprises and customers, and the role of technologies playing in driving growth across various enterprises. We also dive into the competitive edge that cloud and AI provides, discuss how digital first businesses can navigate the ever changing landscape to stay ahead of the curve. So, on this note, I would like to introduce our esteemed panel members who come with a great wealth of expertise in technology. To begin with, I would like to introduce Ivan Irvan, who's the IT director with Credit Bureau Indonesia, followed by Victor Setia, who's the VP of Data with Ticket.com.
Hello.
And then we have Kanishk Mehta, who's the Director of Product Management in Mobi. And we also have Group VP Digital and Omnichannel from Kanmo Group, Rajesh Grover. Please welcome everyone on
Hey guys.
screen. So thank you so much for joining in. I know you guys come with a great wealth of expertise, and we couldn't have asked for a better panel for a topic like this. Thank you once again for joining in. On this note, I would request each one of you to briefly introduce yourself, maybe take a minute to do so. Ivan, if you can get started.
Hi everyone, I'm Ivan Irawan. I manage the IT on the Credit Bureau Indonesia, the one of the private credit bureau in Indonesia. We manage the credit data from Indonesian people. Yeah, so we give this information to financial industrial or non-financial industry that need want to know about the credit worthiness from their customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. Victor, if you could please take it over.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Tarun. My name is Victor. So I'm with Ticket.com. It's an OTA company from Indonesia. So I've been with Ticket for 4 years now. Prior to this Ticket, I work at Gojek and Tokopedia. I think I've been around the business for like more than 13 years here now in the data sphere. Thank you.
Thank you. Rajesh, if you could go next.
Sure. Hi guys. My name is Raj. I am the Group VP for AI Digital and Omnichannel at Kanmo Group, which is one of the leading retail conglomerates in Indonesia. Been with the group for 3 years. Prior to that, I was the Europe head for Byju's. Before that, I've had quite a lot of experience in the startup world, where I was the Asia CEO for the frontier markets for Rocket Internet. Glad to be part of this esteemed panel and looking forward to the interactive discussions that we're going to have.
Thank you, Rajesh. Kanishk, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Tarun, and thank you, everyone. Very excited to speak with all of you today. I am Kanishk. I'm a director of product management at InMobi. One of the products I lead is Glance, which is a lock screen platform that's built on top of Android devices across the world. We're across 400 million devices in the world, backed by Google, Geo, and other investors. The main challenges we look forward to building and solving is to define what the next generation of user experience appears for digitally native people across the world. And I'm very excited to speak about how cloud native apps as well as AI is going to inform some of our decision making as we attempt to do that. So yeah, very excited to be here with every one of you.
Awesome, super, sounds good. And as you see, we have a diverse lineup of industry experts representing different industry segments. Let's get them to share their insights on emerging trends across digital first approach and the future of digital native companies and customers. So we will jump into some interesting questions around various technologies that are driving digital natives and digital first businesses. So I would like to get started with Ivan. Maybe Ivan, what are the key technologies that have enabled digital native brands to disrupt traditional industries, and what can traditional companies do to transition to a digital first approach?
Okay, thank you for the question. In my opinions, at least I note that around the six key technology that enabling the digital native disruption. Yeah. So the first is about the e-commerce platform. This is the first that make disruption on the traditional business to make the provide backbone of online sales, and also the scalability, flexibility, the integration. It will be the part of this. And the second is social media. Yeah, social media is also, we can get the new experience to direct customer engagement and community building. And the third is the mobile apps. Sure, this is we do the seamless customer experience and also deliver services to customer anywhere and anytime. And the next is about the payment system and digital currency. This also make we can give the financial services on hand. Yeah. And the second is we with the blockchain digital currency, we can make sure that we can secure the online transaction. And the next is cloud computing. This is also make us can deliver easily, yeah, the technology to the customer instead of being to invest in new hardware or else, and we can deploy anything on the cloud system. And the next is about the data analytic. Sure, about the artificial intelligence and machine learning. This will be will be a interesting discussion on that. But still, everybody know is rely on the data analytic. The big data is part of that, and also the artificial intelligence and machine learning. And how we can do the transition from the traditional company to adopt the digital first approach. In my opinion, we need to firstly is make sure that we know the customer centricity. We know the customer wants. We know the customer needs. We know the customer preference and behavior. Yeah. So this is through the data analytic in the market research. And the second is we need to do the digital transformation. And the next is we need to embrace the agile methodology. And the next is maybe the partnership. And of course, we need to make sure that the talent acquisition and culture shift will be on place in our traditional company. And we need to make sure that we bravely to test the new digital channel on approach by experimentation and also the make all of this on the data-driven decision making. Maybe that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ivan. So like you rightly said, it's got to be a good combination of various technologies depending on like what level of journey the company is on. So moving on next, Rajesh, this question going to you. What are the biggest growth opportunities for digital native brands in the next 3 to 5 years? You know, how do you see them leveraging technology to drive growth?
Thanks, Tarun, for the question. I think there is not going to be any new technology per se that I can foresee, at least at this point of time. But what I can see is the penetration of some of the key technologies will take prominence. I think there is nothing I'm going to say that people wouldn't have heard of. But I think what today we talk about, whether it is in terms of personalization or omni-channel or unified commerce, I think these are technologies or part of the technology that will become more mainstream. And I think also more important for digitally native brands. Let's pick up the first one, which is personalization. Not a new word, not something that we are hearing for the first time. I think this word has been used quite a lot for many years. But I think personalization, to do it at scale, and for the kind of audience that the digitally native brands are targeting now, which is predominantly going to be also the Gen Zs and the Gen Alpha, I think that's where it will start to make more difference. So the current incoming generation of consumers and customers, prefer personalization, which is very tailored to them. It is going beyond just using hi and the customer's name to actually what they want, which is I think where data would come into picture quite a lot. AI would come into picture, to make it more specific product recommendations. I think we a while back was talking to Victor, and we were talking about how they are trying to build more stronger AI recommendations. I think that is the direction that brands and companies will start to go in, because it will be how closely you can actually implement and how deeper integrations you can have. Omni-channel goes without saying. I think today studies say consumers move across 5.34 touch points before making their first purchase, which makes it all the more necessary for brands to be very, very strong in omni-channel implementation. Whether it has come to a time where online and offline in consumers' mind is the same. They expect to have same kind of experience from a brand across any touch point that they are. So whether it is online, offline, at social media, on a live streaming platform, on a marketplace, on a brand.com, or on a retail store, they expect to have the same kind of experience. And I think omni-channel integration will get far more stronger. Again, I can tell you omni-channel as a word came into prominence 14 years ago. This is the 15th year we are talking about omni-channel. But you'd be surprised to know that only 6% of the companies in the world actually have full-fledged omni-channel integration. And around 80% are there in some sort of omni-channel integration, not fully omni-channel. And of course, then there are another 10% which haven't even started their journey. So I think this is a place where digitally native brands will have to be very, very strong. And we will see this happening. Third key technology or penetration that I see, that we are personally seeing right now, I think it will go bigger and bigger, is social commerce. I think there is no denying that live streaming has become one of the big players when it comes to consumers choosing as a platform to shop. Again, I mean, there are TikTok, for example, Indonesia entered the market last year and captured 6% of e-com share, highest by any e-com platform, in a market in the very first year. I would not talk about China because I think they beat all records when it comes to live selling, with products being sold and being displayed for a mere 1 or 2 seconds, and they're being sold out. But I think that is one place which is going to go higher, because again, the audiences are moving towards it. Not going into far bigger stuff, I think one of the last things that I would say to encapsulate everything, we cannot have a discussion about next 3 to 5 years without me talking about AI, or any one of us talking about AI. I think AI will make bigger inroads. I think a lot of discussions on AI have started. Quite a few of them are in the infancy stage, but I think in the next 3 to 5 years, they'll get far more streamlined. For a digitally native brand, you have to understand what are they competing for. In today's environment, the cost of customer acquisition has gone through the roof. Everyone is fighting for the same pie. So for you to stay relevant, you will need to employ AI at different facets of your business. Now, whether it is at personalization, whether it is at driving stronger, better engagement with the consumers, again, with the aim of having better customer lifetime value, or increased retention, or increased frequency purchase, or at the back end to optimize your inventory management, your supply chain optimization, the way you order your merchandise. I think that's where AI will play a far stronger role in the next 3 to 5 years, because we will have enough amount of data. The skill sets would have been upgraded to that limit. And I think that would be also one of the key areas where digital native brands will and should participate if they want to remain competitive in the market.
That was an interesting take, Rajesh. I mean, especially, the way you spoke about technologies that are being implemented now will actually start showing results a little later. And also how a lot of these companies are moving towards AI, and there's so much more to come, right? Now, speaking of AI, I would like to throw this question to Victor, especially like I heard you and Rajesh speak a while back. AI is dominating everywhere, right, Victor? And you did mention about how you are introducing personalized tours or trips for your clients. So how do you see cloud and AI technologies driving innovation in product development itself? And how is this reshaping the digital native ecosystem?
Yeah, thank you, Tarun, for the questions. I think firstly about cloud technologies. Yeah, it's been around for some time now, and the cost of using the cloud technologies is substantially cheaper, I would say, rather than like 5 to 10 years ago. As for us, as a digital native company, it's very easy to kind of experiment about new technologies being introduced in the cloud platforms. So in our case, whether we want to try new models, for Gemini, for example, in Google and all that stuff, it's available right away, and we can try it out like almost immediately, right? And if you don't like it, we can just revert back. There's no investment and all that stuff. And for other stuff like where we need like new servers and all that stuff in very quick manner, right? Auto scaling and all that stuff. Cloud is super powerful in terms of providing the necessary infrastructure, right? And on the AI part, I think Rajesh has touched about it in the few the previous question. I think AI now is in a place where we have enough computing power, and we have enough people that can run the model or understand the model or build the model to kind of being adopted everywhere, right? So whether you want to do personalization, you want to optimize your search results, you want to do cross-selling, you want to optimize your marketing channels and all that stuff, we have the capability and we have the tools to do it, right? It's a matter of doing it with a lot of intent. So you have to have a clear goal of what you are trying to do. So for us, if we want to go specifically for which marketing channel are more effective to bring in new transacting user, for example, so we got to experiment around that and then build the right kind of a model to optimize it, whether it's to send the right timing and all that stuff, right? So, and second part, I think it's all about Gen AI now. Gen AI today is in the place where it can be, it's ready to be introduced to the end user, right? Probably last year it's all about doing POCs, writing papers and all that stuff. Today I would say it's ready to be used directly, whether it's to optimize your chatbots and all that stuff, right? It's available everywhere now. And then I think what's being underrated at the moment, the use of AI is to optimize your development. So whether or not to identify certain failures in your servers and all that stuff. And secondly is to identify whether or not there's an anomaly. In my case, if I see for our data pipelines, there's an anomaly, like the data is missing somewhere, or there's certain spikes, we can identify it like quickly and then make adjustment. Yeah, I think that's where it's kind of being underrated because nowadays talk about AI is all about customers and users. Yeah, but not too much about the developers. Yeah, that's my take. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Victor. So I would like to continue this with Kanishk along the lines of where we discussed with Victor about how AI technologies are driving innovation. How can digital native companies harness the full potential of cloud and AI to stay ahead of competition, Kanishk?
Thank you, Tarun, for that great question. And I find that question very interesting because when it comes to cloud and AI, a lot of talk is on next gen, what comes next. And I'm sure we'll cover that too. But I'm fascinated by one of the points Rajesh mentioned, that omni-channel is in its 15th year of being discussed, and 6% of people, 6% of companies use it well. I think the same holds for a lot of cloud-based and AI technologies too. So these are not necessarily next generation by themselves, but these are technologies that most firms probably aren't using at their full potential. So I'd like to give 3 examples and 3 concrete points around it. Right, the first being building cloud native architecture, to which Victor spoke a lot about, right? About things around making technologies where digitally native companies can build their entire infrastructure that leverage microservices, containers, and serverless computing. And with serverless computing, what could happen is what Victor was referencing around auto scaling and better fault tolerance. And what that might end up being for the user is, let's say tomorrow there's a fintech startup doing, let's say, credit checks. If they use a serverless architecture. They don't need to maintain those servers. For example, I expect maybe the work that Ivan does, you might get a lot of credit checks on the weekends or on the middle of the day and almost no credit checks in the night. A serverless architecture could handle millions of transactions during peak times and automatically scale up and scale down resources as needed. And even though this tech is available, very few developers actually end up using them. So really embracing cloud native architecture is one big point. Number two, being around implementing decision making that's AI driven. For instance, we do know that AI outperforms a human in a lot of decisions, not all, but a lot of decisions. But I think there's still a lot of hesitance that business execs have in integrating them into the core business processes. Example being, let's say, ticket.com, right, Victor? Like, for example, dynamic pricing is a problem. That is something that an AI would really excel at. It would make far fewer errors. It would be very responsive to changes in competition prices, weather, so on and so forth. And I'm sure at ticket.com, you might actually do ticket dynamic pricing. But for a lot of other companies, there's a person putting stuff on an Excel, making sure things are operated within the correct bounds. So really integrating AI into decision making as point number two. And point number three, making development very AI driven. So we're now at a stage where every part of the development supply chain, the coding supply chain, can now be assisted with AI, starting with code generation, code support, starting with code reviews, deploying it to the cloud. All of that is now automated, and yet most companies still haven't taken the leap forward. But if we do all three, I think companies could get really close to harnessing what the full potential of cloud and AI could be. So yeah, those three might be the examples. Just to revise, developing AI-driven DevOps, making sure that we embrace cloud-native architecture and we integrate more and more of AI into our decision-making in the workplace.
Thanks for that, Kanishk. Yes, we do see a lot of developments happening around. With so many changes happening so constantly, how does one balance the need for agility in a digital native practice with the stability that traditional enterprise often requires, right? So, Ivan, I think you can take this question as a lot of these traditional banks or traditional finance companies are still trying to make a transition towards scale digital model, right? How do you see they can balance agility with ever-changing technology?
Okay, this is a very interesting question. This is about the different culture of the two model of the company. Yes, the traditional bank or traditional company, this need the stability to do the business, but the digital native approach need to make sure that the agility is the key of their business. So this is, I think we need to, I have addressed some of the key strategy that can be implemented to the traditional company or traditional bank to balance the agility and stability in digital native approach. The first, they need to do the modular architecture. So is it part of this is they need to break down the system to smaller systems, smaller modular system, like what Kanish said. We can break into the serverless, using container instead of the server, like that, And also we need to make sure that the independent scalability is on place, It's not rely on the others module, That also the key. And the next is we can reduce the risk if we can change the system to modular architecture. The next is I also agree with Kanish said that we need to make sure that the DevOps is on the place. The first, we need to deliver the continuous integration and continuous delivery, CI/CD. This means that we need to do the automation from this process. Then we make sure that this can be a faster time to market. And the next is the increase the stability of the module that will implement or deploy on the production. The next is we still need the risk management framework to do this all, because we need to prioritize the risk, the mitigation strategies, and also we need to know on plan the contingency plan if the risk is happen, how to mitigate and how the contingency plan. And the next is sure data governance is the most important because we are deal with data. Every company deal with data. So make sure that the first is data quality is on place, the data security is also implemented, and the next is about the data retention. We don't need to retain data for every we need to make sure that the data cycle is also applied to what we need. Yeah. The next is about the traditional company can do the hybrid cloud strategy. Yeah. So we can leverage the buzzword. Sometimes the traditional companies still want to do the on-premise. Actually, it's like a CBI, because the CBI cannot do the cloud 100% cloud, since we are hosting the regulator data. And the second is also we can do the workload optimization and do the make sure that disaster recovery on place. And the next and the last maybe and the last is the culture experiment. We need to make sure the culture of experimentation and learning is on place. Yeah, because sometimes because of the stability is the aim of the requirement of required by traditional company. They need to learn how to implement the culture of experimentation and learning. We can fail fast, but we need to learn faster. And also we need to do the approach for the iteration or iteration approach, and also balancing the innovation and stability. This maybe is the part that not easy to implement to the traditional company. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. So, like you rightly mentioned, of course, there will be a lot of risks associated, especially when we are transitioning so quickly between technologies, right? And with regards to this, I would like to put across this question to Victor. What are the potential risks of adopting new technologies too quickly? And how can companies mitigate these challenges and risks?
I think thank you for the question. Yeah, I think there are a couple of points with regards to adopting, technologies too quickly. Sometimes we are too excited, right, with things like fancy new, tools or fancy new technologies like that. It becomes sometimes it's not proven. We don't have a good track record yet for the technologies. For example, like when we first adopted Gen AI within our team for Copilot, development tools. There's still a lot of errors in terms of code generations and all that stuff. We are excited with the technologies, but sometimes the risk is too buggy often. Yeah, that leads to a lot of security potential security breaches, vulnerabilities, and all that stuff. So we have to be careful about the technologies that we choose to do to adopt, and also do proper testing, make sure all the checklists is being checked and all that stuff. Secondly, I think when it comes to rolling out to our users, there might be some user resistance in terms of adopting new technologies, because they might see these features is not kind of is a new flow to their customer journey, to the users, right? So for example, if I introduce a new trip planner, for example, in our search functionalities, so they might see it as a disruption to their usual customer behavior, right? So a lot of education has to be provided to the users so that they understand the new customer flow and all that stuff. And of course you got to stick with the metric. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, as much as we want it to work. So if the customer suddenly drop out of our user adoption and all that stuff, I think it could be something that we need to take a look and then revert back if needed. And sometimes with other technologies, it could be operational disruption, right? So we are used to doing things in certain way, and now with the new tools, for example, in our case, in my case, we are using Jira, for example, right? And for people that are not used to it, they try and they often use some other tools and all that stuff. So when we adopt new technologies, of course, the workflow will be disrupted. So make sure that the change management is being carried out carefully, so that and of course you got to do retrospect often to know where of your workflow is disrupted in that way. Yeah. I think those are my take here. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Victor. I would now like to move the discussion away from risks and various cautionary measures that one should take to a little more driven, right? So, what are the primary differences do you all think the expectation of digital native customers compared to traditional customers? And this, Rajesh, I would like to ask you, as you are predominantly driving one of the most leading retail organizations in Indonesia.
I think you've hit the right nerve there, Tarun. Talking about digital native customers versus traditional. I think as a retail conglomerate where we have more than 50 of our brands, we are catering to customers across a different spectrum. So and we understand. And if I have to tell you in one word, I'll say that digitally native customers keep us on our toes all the time. They differ quite significantly, and I think, as expected, there is some of the key things that make material impact to them, to the experience, as well as for us to adapt quickly. Is one is speed and convenience. I think it's a no-brainer. The digitally native consumers or customers both are very they put very high priority to convenience and speed. Now, in verbal terms, it sounds very different, but when it comes to implementation and in impact, it is an entirely different ball game. So I'll give you one small example. In Indonesia, for example, more than 40% of deliveries actually happen instant now. Now, this is before instant was there. It was about normal regular deliveries. Things were happening, but then there was a demand for having same day, next day delivery. So next day delivery came, people started lapping it up. Same day delivery came, and then came the point of instant. And obviously, you'll think as a business, when you look at this, it's not just enabling a switch in the background. You have to, there are domino effect across the entire planning, from our supply chain to our operations to our warehouse management, and for a retail conglomerate like us, where we also do store fulfillment, we have to change a lot of SOPs. And there's always this question of the cost benefit analysis. Are you really sure? Do the consumers really want? But when you see that 47% of your deliveries are now happening instant, and consumers are willing to pay for it, you do understand that there is a big value. So convenience, speed comes right at the top. I spoke about personalization before. I think no one expects personalization more than the digitally native consumers. I think they see the value, and they are quite tough in their expectations, and they want that to be met. So I think they are the ones who are not going to be happy just by sending them a blank email or a generic WhatsApp simply saying, XYZ is the offer. They actually expect personalization. Now, whether it is through WhatsApp, email, in-app notifications, push notifications, it has to make sense. Omnichannel goes without saying again. Their customer's journey may start from a Facebook ad, go through a brand.com to a marketplace for better deals, and then actually end up on a TikTok live streaming session because they're hoping for better deals and discounts. And tracking them across this and making sure that we are targeting the right customer at the right place at the right time with the right offer, I think makes the implementation all the more tough. Now, that being said, comes one of the most important part, which is engagement. I think all of us talk about engagement. There are a lot of metrics that are being tracked nowadays. The digitally native consumers, as compared to traditional ones, are again demanding in this way. Whether it is your chatbot on your website, or the chat on marketplace, or it's a WhatsApp commerce message, or it's an email, which is hardly there, but mostly for the digitally native customers, they want a quick response, or they want to be informed as to what is happening. That takes quite a creative thought on the part when you run customer service centers or customer relationship centers like we do, because we cannot scale up our customer service teams exponentially just to handle different channels. So that's where we need to get smart. We need to get use technology, whether it is chatbots, where the chatbot needs to still have some sort of human semblance, so that people don't think like, why am I talking to just a rule-based computer, uh, and drive automations to make sure that we are still able to deliver that same level of communication, same level of engagement without exponentially increasing our manpower. Now, that being said, let me bring to another interesting point, which is called brand loyalty. Now, you might be thinking, okay, we are giving so much of benefits, we are evolving, we are doing so many things. Brand loyalty, when it comes to versus our traditional customers who are digital native, for them it's very how I would put it, fluid. So their brand loyalty can easily be switched if there's a competitor who's offering a better experience or offering a better offer which matches their expectations. Whereas if you look at traditional customers, they generally have a stronger sense of brand loyalty, which has been built with their consistent experience with a particular brand. Now, again, that is something that keeps us on our toes. And last but not the least is the agility to evolve and adapt to what the current consumer needs. If we are slow in adapting to what they want, and there is someone else which is offering that, you have a high chance that your consumer might actually move there. Classic case I've seen, and I'm sure most of my fellow panelists would have seen this across, in some sphere or the other. You'll have new players coming in, entering the market within 3 or 4 years. They would be only catering a particular channel or a segment, but they'll be really going deep in it, and they would be able to create or capture a niche within that segment. Now, for a big scale group who has to target, who has customers ranging from the boomers, from the millennials to the Gen X to the Gen Zs, and now to the Gen Alpha, the speed and the agility at which they have to adapt to all the needs of consumers sometimes may not be very very fast and quick, and that opens up opportunities for a lot of these new players to come into the market and try to capture share. So for big companies like ours, agility and innovation becomes very very important, and we pay extra attention so that we are always at the edge, and we are quick to react and adapt, and then come up with the right solution for our consumers so that we don't lose the customers that we have built over a period of time. So I think it's a long answer, but I think, like I said, you hit the right nerve, and I think we deal with this on a regular basis with one or the other of our brands.
Right. No, in fact, the response was quite interesting in terms of how you have to deal with different mindsets of customers and how quickly they are changing, right? So thanks for that, Rajesh. And I would like to put a question to Kanishk, sort of relating to this, I would say. As a product manager or a product director, Kanishk, of course, even you have to keep in mind how these emerging trends are, reshaping the future of digital native customers, right? When you develop these products. So what do you see is going to change in the next, say, 10 to 15 years? 5 to 10 years, maybe. 10 to 15 is way too far. So maybe in the next 5 years, what do you see will be different from what's happening now?
Yeah, thank you, Tarun. And you're bang on about 10 to 15 years being too old. We might even all be cyborgs by then. But I think in the next 5 to 10 years, I think some things are particularly, at least in these can only be opinions, so I'll at least share mine. And I'll try to refrain from the obvious ones like AI taking over, blah, blah, because that's maybe obvious to all of us here. I'd like to start with one being the evolution of the interface. So the user interface, as it has been over the history of the internet, has evolved a lot. From 15 years ago to with bulky keyboards and bulky CRT monitors, it's now gone to a smartphone with a mini keypad. On the TVs that are in the US, 30% of users use their TV not with the remote but with voice. Smart devices in the home ecosystem are taking up. So one of the ways I think the user interface is evolving is it's converging to a place where there might not be a user interface. Maybe computing will become so ambient and so ingrained in everyone's lives that the AI or the interface follows you around. And there's examples of this like in smart devices like Alexa and Google Home, but also in, let's say, augmented reality glasses that Meta is building with Ray-Ban. And they're in fact potentially looking at an acquisition of that optical company. So it just says how tech and hardware is converging to the point that there might not be an interface in some years, which is a very interesting evolution because the way interfaces evolve is how product marketing growth evolves. So that might be a very interesting trend that we have to stay on top of. The second trend, which is really linked to generative AI, is I think generative AI will make creativity almost a commodity. So I'll give you an example of what it means. Now, with Apple's latest release of Stable Diffusion on the device, so right now, if you want to create an image on ChatGPT, you have to talk to an interface, you have to be connected to the internet. With some of these releases, that can happen on the device offline. So imagine that if Tarun is playing a game, and Tarun is the kind of person that likes dark, moody lighting in his Mario game, and Raj likes bright, preppy lighting in his Mario game. Those two interfaces can be different on the fly on the device for these users, which is pretty incredible. If you're, let's say, selling an ad to Ivan and Victor, and let's say you want to sell them both Rolexes, on the device, Ivan can get maybe a Rolex advertisement that's more formal, because you might see that he's more serious about his clothing, etc. And Victor might get something more preppy, upbeat, and that's on-device localization, right? So there's infinite content that is now generated on the fly because of generative AI. Another thing that I think companies will have to be on top of. And the third thing, which Rajesh mentioned a lot, and I love, is personalization, of course. But I think we're already to a place where things are very personalized. Rajesh made a great point about how this is now a basic expectation from Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So I think what the bar is of great personalization will also go up. So today personalization is, if you're on Netflix, what shows might you most likely love, right? Tomorrow it might even be that you and I might be watching the same movie, but I see a slightly different audio where people are, let's say, more aggressive, because I like more aggressive films, and you might see something that's slightly more passive or slower because you like slower paced movies. So you might have personalization that happens on the content, something like hyper personalization, wherein you and I might see the same reel, but I might hear a different audio, you might hear a different audio, and it might go on to become that granular. So I think those three trends: the disappearing of the interface, the presence of how generative AI will cause content explosion, and hyper personalization. Some very exciting trends over the next 5 to 10 years, perhaps.
Right. So I think you rightly put it, the way hyper personalization will eventually take over every aspect. In fact, I also see a lot of development happening around Neuralink every now and then. I read so much about that. So I won't be surprised that we actually eventually will start living in the age of cyborgs, right? It might happen sometime in the near future eventually. So this again, we did sort of touch upon the risk aspects of this, but I would like to put across this question to maybe each one of you in terms of risk, right? There's so much personalized data that is being readily available to companies now. So how does one deal with the ethical standards and the risk factors associated with the personalization? It could be like you mentioned, everything could be available on device for personalization reasons. So how does one balance between these two? Would one of you like to go at it?
Yeah, so I think I can start. I think there are two fundamental risks that at least I know I lose sleep over, and I know all of us will over time. One is that at least aspects of generative AI are not very controllable. Right? And we've seen that with big product launches of big tech companies. We've seen a company as big as Google mess up its initial release because you can't fully control what the AI will say. So the determinism of the output, like you never know how it will function, because it's likely the output is not so controllable unless you ground the LLM, so on and so forth. So that's one big risk, very, very big risk, because as a product manager or as any executive, you want to be in control of the experience, and the control is a little less in generative AI unless you explicitly solve for it, which is one big risk. The second big risk to me is privacy, because suddenly all of user data now sits in some server. There could be big aspects to your server to that might not be very user friendly. For example, Microsoft are planning to launch a feature where they will log the screenshot of what your desktop is and then make things searchable for you from those images. But perhaps you opened your notepad where you kept the password to your income tax return, for instance, and that suddenly is data that sits in a server somewhere, and it's very hard to solve for all of those. So I think privacy being a key big risk to me is something that we'll have to solve for.
Right. Thanks for that, Kanishk. I guess eventually there will be some sort of industry standard that might come up with all of these changes. So, I mean, to be honest, I have way more questions to ask, but then we've already crossed about 50 minutes doing this session. As we wrap up this insightful discussion, I'd like to ask each one of you to share a final thought or a piece of advice for businesses as we step into the era of AI native rather than digital native. Eventually, we will get there, right? Most of us will end up using AI so often. So, what is the single most critical factor you believe will determine the success of AI native enterprise in the future? Ivan, would you like to go at it first?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is the AI. We cannot refuse the AI. Not everybody implement the AI, but the most single critical factor for the AI native enterprise, in my opinion, is about the data quality and governance. Since we can have an analogy that the AI is the engine, the data is the fuel. So we need to make sure that for the data quality side, that we can minimize the inaccurate data or biased data, so the output will be accurate and reliable. And the second is about the accessibility of the data. We make sure the data must be ready, available, and accessed by the system to learn and to improve. Without making accessibility is ready, then we cannot say that the AI will be on place. And the next is about the last, I think the last is about the governance, data governance. We need to make sure that the data privacy, security, and ethical use is on place, because this will build the trust with the customer and also the stakeholder. Without trust, we cannot do the business. Thank you.
Right. Thanks for that, Ivan. Victor, moving to you next. What, according to you, will be the single most critical factor that will eventually, determine the success of a AI native enterprise?
Yeah, sure. So I was second what Ivan mentioned, but I want to add also about, AI projects is not just, there for the sake of it. So you got to have purpose, right? So a lot of AI projects fail because we just want it to happen, right? We don't have a clear metrics, or we don't have clear audience target. We don't have a clear goal on what the project is supposed to do. Sometimes we climb up a lot of metrics together, to see where, the numbers kind of, up goes up. But in fact, without goal, I think AI projects will fail, right? I've seen it firsthand. A lot of the AI projects, we just want it to happen, right? Like cross-selling, without clear goal, what kind of, granularity we should aim for, or what kind of products that we want to be included in the inventories for all this stuff, right? So I think you got to have purpose in your AI projects. I think that's another thing that I want to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Victor. Rajesh, your thoughts on this?
I think going along, I think I'll third what Victor and Ivan said, but I think and I think all the points mentioned, I'm sure across, if you speak to either of us, will have the same points, which would be at the top of the list. From an implementation perspective, I would say one thing, which is expectations management. Unfortunately, ChatGPT or Gen AI has made, or has given a perception to people that AI has literally become a magic wand at this point of time. So a lot of times when you're talking about AI implementation across any of the verticals or the functions, people's expectations need to be managed, that it is not something that you would think and it will happen. It's not a Harry Potter wand. And the reason why I'm saying this is, and I'm sure my fellow panelists would agree, sometimes when you are discussing about an AI implementation, let's say on inventory management decisions, right? So the AI is going to learn and to adapt, and then it is going to give you out certain recommendations. It would still need some human interference till the time the system becomes reliable to a point where it can make decisions without any error. Now, at a human side, it is very easy to say that, yeah, but if I have to validate it, then might as well I do it myself. Why do I need AI? I thought with AI, everything would be automatic. But and that sort of disparity in the expectations, often causes a lot of issues in terms of acceptance of that particular project. Because I think people today use ChatGPT to write a simple prompt, and it dishes out an entire paragraph. But and this is why sometimes I do a litmus test. I ask people, okay, before ChatGPT, tell me the names of two most popular AI systems that you know of. And I can tell you, it's very, 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 very rare, unless I'm talking to somebody in the AI domain, they'll be able to say. Otherwise, they don't know. So I think, and I use that litmus test to generally tell people that, guys, the expectations have to be aligned. It is going to evolve, but as a human, it would still need some validation till the time it comes to a place. I think implementation perspective, it is absolutely critical to manage the right expectations for whatever we are implementing using AI, just to make sure that it is not a Harry Potter wand which will do wonders from day one.
Right. Thanks for that, Rajesh. And Kanishk, while you resonate with all the three of them, what's one different key takeaway that you would like to give to our audience today?
Yes, thank you, Tarun. And yes, strongly agree with the points before me. I think one other thing that I would want to add is that as it's organizations that work on AI, and organizations are made of people, and aligning the incentives and behavior of people. I know it's a somewhat MBA-ish thing to say, but an example of it is sometimes you want to move to a much better AI, much better cloud architecture. Sometimes you do want to move to a much better way of decision making in AI. But there are 15 people in the organization who are incentivized to keep doing the same thing that they're doing. And that happens at every level, starting from the founder all the way to the associate who actually does the work. So making sure that we align human incentives to either and not even to the technology, maybe to the output metric that we're going for. We're all in the organization chasing that output metric. If we could get everyone to align on that, then the implementation of AI or cloud or any forward-looking tech becomes easier, because at least in the organizations I've been in, at least after you reach 500 people, it's politics that slows you down and not the coding. So if we align incentives, it's just that much clearer when people are working on the problem.
Super. All right. Thanks for that, Kanishk. With this, unfortunately, we have to come to a close to this interesting discussion, very engaging discussion. I'm sure we can go on discussing about more new things, and what are the different approaches that one can think of while planning a digital native enterprise, right? Unfortunately, we will have to close the session. So thank you so much to each one of you for joining us and sharing your insights. Today's discussion. It definitely underscored the importance of staying agile and innovative in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. As we learned, emerging technologies like AI, cloud are not just competitive edge; they are essential tools that transform business models. So it would be on the lines of driving customer engagement and creating sustainable growth for digital native companies itself. So thanks for those valuable insights that you all shared. I would like to thank our audience as well. Uh, I would like to conclude this digital session with this. I would look forward to welcoming you all to more interesting sessions in the future. So thank you once again, and looking forward to more collaborations with you industry leaders here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tarun.
Thank you.